Arkansas, all sports. It's more sports.
All right, how about a little instant reaction to that game? Did not see that one coming tonight. Arkansas, a big favorite, and not only that, not covered, but they just get out of there with the skin of their teeth. 84-83, your final score. Arkansas scored the last 6 points of the game to get the victory over Winthrop. Crazy finish to the game. Double technicals at the end. 4 players get ejected for leaving the bench. And then you have Winthrop with 11.9 seconds. Really one of the few times all night that they didn't get up a good shot. I was so impressed watching Winthrop. Their offense, once again, two games in a row, team comes into Bud Walton Arena and they run their offense. They get good shots. They knock down shots and played very well offensively against Arkansas. A lot of issues. Good thing is Arkansas won. But you know what? The good news is this coaching staff has a lot of quality tape that they can break down and show the team the mistakes, and hopefully they can learn from these mistakes because they can't get away with that in SEC ball. They can't get away with that against Duke or Louisville or some of the opponents that they have coming up that are more talented. Not that Winthrop's not a talented team, but size-wise, it didn't compare. And that's what paid off for Arkansas at the end was their size, the block shots, and able to get some easy shots underneath the basket. But Winthrop offensively controlled the game. And really the most disappointing thing for me tonight was Arkansas's defense or lack of defense, because Winthrop ran the pick and roll all night long and got open shot after open shot, knocked down threes at just a record pace, 16 threes. I think that's the final count. We'll check the final stats here in a bit. I noticed that hogstats.com said that Arkansas, when they give up 15 or more threes in a game, the record was like 6-9. In which you give up that many threes, you should lose. There it is. Arkansas, you don't win. 6-9 when the opponent makes 15 threes or more. And they were open looks. That's the disappointing thing. Yeah, they banked in one. There were a couple of crazy shots, but for the most part, they were just wide open. And it was the pick and roll and no adjustments to the pick and roll. Guys would leave. It was at the end. Pringle left their hot shooter. Rozier all alone, knocks down a three. I think that's what gave Winthrop their 5-point lead late in the game. And it was just really poor defense. Speaking of Brazil, in the low post, he's worthless. If teams are going to take him down the low post, he can't play because he's going to give up easy points. And that's exactly what Winthrop did, back-to-back possessions at the end of the game. And I wrote down, Brazil's weak, that's a liability. 2 straight post-ups, and that made it a 5-point game. If you can't play low post defense at 6'10", 6'11", then what are we doing? And then he just got bullied down there. The guy got position on him and gets a layup. One time he tries to block the shot, doesn't block it. The guy missed it, but he was there for an easy putback rebound. It was just a smart play. I'm sure they've seen the film and they can see that Brazil can't play low post defense. And so they took advantage of it. You don't think SEC teams are going to take advantage of it? So I don't know what they're going to do with Brazil once they get into league play or playing better teams that have big post guys. They'll just take advantage. We saw Michigan State. Michigan State took advantage of it. So until he learns how to use his body and use angles and move his feet, that's going to be an issue. But a lot of issues defensively to work out after Winthrop just really took it to them on a night where Arkansas, give them credit, they found a way to win a 6-0 run. They're down 5 with a minute 26. You remember they had they had to go to review who the ball went out of bounds off of. They called it off Winthrop, and it was Arkansas's ball. After review, they kept it that way. Arkansas got an extended timeout to go over a play that they wanted to run. I love the play. They ran a little high-low with Brazil. Pringle, he gets it to Pringle. Easy layup for them. Arkansas cuts it to 83-30 or 83-80, a 3-point game. And then Brazil gets the block. Arkansas, Acuff on the run. When they're at their best, running with the ball, Acuff, easy layup, 83-82. Then Arkansas gets a steal at the other end, and Pringle goes down, gets the layup, and then that's when the two guys get tied up, go down to the ground. You get the double tech. the ejections for players leaving the bench, 11.9 seconds left. And then Winthrop, I guess I got to give Arkansas some credit. You look at it, down 5, minute 26 to go, and Winthrop got one shot the rest of the game, and it was a forced shot at the buzzer. So you get a block shot, you get a steal, and then you play pretty good defense. You know, I know they wanted a foul, but I don't think you call a foul there. I thought it was just good enough and a highly contested shot. So they finally started playing defense at the end, and I guess it wasn't too late. They finally decided to play lock down and play a little bit of defense. Your questions, your comments, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I'll keep an eye on that, and we can chat about this game, your reaction to the game, not just mine. You can get involved too. Let's go ahead and I'll pull up the box score so we can see some of the totals. I know a lot of y'all are always interested to see the final numbers. I got some rolling at the bottom of the screen. Arkansas's leading scores, thanks to Corky's Ribs and Barbecue for sponsoring that. Here we go. Here's a look at the final box score. We'll take a look at Arkansas right now. And your leading scorer, Malik Thomas, 10 of 20 from the floor, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, good percentage, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. That's 26 total points. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover. That came at the end of the game. Remember, that was a crucial turnover. He was dribbling out high, and they ripped it from him, took it down for easy too. And his only turnover of the game, very costly. Trevin Brazil next in scoring, 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. By the way, Arkansas shot fantastic from the free throw line. Really the difference of the game. Arkansas's 20 of 22 from the free throw line. We'll look at what Winthrop did here in just a second. But Winthrop made their threes. Arkansas made their free throws. That was the difference in the game. Both were high shooting teams. Arkansas 50% from the field, 60% in the second half. How about that? Second half, Arkansas's 15 of 25, 3 of 5 from the three-point line. So shot the ball outstanding in the second half, but still it was almost not enough because of Winthrop and the way they were knocking down threes. After Brazil, your leading scorer was Nick Pringle. He had 13, 5 of 5 from the floor, 3 of 4 from, he had 7 rebounds. So Pringle, Brazil combined for 15 rebounds and 27 points. I'll take that out of those two. Brazil also had 4 block shots in the game. So, you know, I'm going to get on him. Yes, his low post defense, not good enough, not adequate at all, but he does a lot of other things defensively. He'll block some shots and get some rebounds for you, but that's going to be a liability. Teams posting him up. He's got to learn to play better post defense. Darius Acup, maybe his roughest shooting night. Well, Michigan State was pretty rough, but 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, made all of his free throws, had a couple of rebounds, 5 assists. He had 3 turnovers. Arkansas on the night, only 9 turnovers, so they took care of the ball pretty well. Had 8 block shots as a team. How many were on three-point shots? That was pretty crazy. I think at 3 at one point, 3 block shots on three-point attempts from Winthrop. Other scores, Carter Knox had 9 points. Malik Ewan, not a lot. Again, 7 minutes. That's about what he played in the last game. He had 3 rebounds, a couple offensive rebounds when he was in there. But they really have to get Malik Ewan going. Not much from DJ Wagner tonight. He made a couple of free throws, but missed all of his shots from the floor. We talked about Malik. We talked about Pringle. Billy Richmond had a nice basket at the end of the game when they were trying to make a run. He had 6 points, a couple assists, a rebound, that 1 offensive rebound, and the personal foul. Looking at some of the bench points, 45 points in the paint. That's good. 40. Not many turnovers from Winthrop. It was just that they were running their offense. Arkansas wasn't getting a lot of turnovers or steals, only 10 points off turnovers. Second chance points, not bad. 14, 7 offensive rebounds, just 16 fast break points. Look at that. That team, Arkansas's 12 of 15 in layups, 4 or 5 of dunks. When they get running, they are tough to stop, but they couldn't ever get running because the defense wasn't good enough. There's 2 parts that make you be able to run the ball, and that's defense, and then you got to get the rebound. Let's take a look at the visitor stats real quick. And just impressive night from Winthrop. Look at this 3-point shooting. 15 of 30. That is 48% second half. I thought they were good in the first half. They were even better in the second half. 8 of 15, 53%. They shot 50% from the floor also, 16 of 32. Just a really good offensive team. But look at free throws. 4 of 6. Difference in the game. They knocked down 15 threes, but only 4 free throws. They kept Arkansas in it. 8 offensive rebounds for Winthrop. They had 18 second chance points. How about that? 8 offensive rebounds equals 18 second chance points. That means they probably converted on every single offensive rebound, and several of them resulted in threes. That's an impressive number. 8 turned into 18 second chance points. That's why every rebound's crucial, right? 10 turnovers for them. They did a great job of taking care of the ball. And that limited Arkansas's numbers. Their leading scorer, Rozier, 23 points. He lit it up in the second half. First half, it was Cluett. He ended up with 16 points. And then you also had Barry come on towards the end. He's the one who missed that last shot at the end of the game. Just really couldn't get a good look. And Logan Duncombe, who ended up fouling out on the double technical. He's the one who was abusing Brazil down low. He finished with 13 points, 6 of 10 from the floor. And then that's it. That's their 4 leading scorers. Besides that, they didn't get a whole lot of points. That was their major guys right there. Come back to you real quick. We got any thoughts, comments? You can hit me up, ask a question on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Big thanks to Gwatney Buick GMC. You know, right now they got their big are planning for their Black Friday event. Well, what they've been telling me is there's no need to wait for Black Friday. They've got deals galore right now. You can go on up to North Little Rock, 5700 Landers Road in North Little Rock, and take advantage of the sales that they have right now. For example, they have the new Sierra 1500 up to 20% off MSRP, 2026 Terrains at just $279 a month. The Buick Encore GX, that's the 2026, $199 a month. And the hottest crossover out there, 2025 Invista Preferred, $179 a month. Black Friday is coming up, but you don't have to wait until Black Friday. You can do it now. Zero chaos, zero drama, zero fighting. Take advantage of the deals they have at Gwatney Chevrolet right now. All right, back to the ball game right now. A couple of notes that I wanted to talk about. Malik Thomas started the second half. By the way, your first half starters for Arkansas were Acuff, Brazil, back in the starting lineup, Knox, Ewan got the shot to start tonight, not Nick Pringle, and then DJ Wagner. Second half made a little bit of a change. Malik Thomas was in for DJ, and he hit the first 3 in the second half to open things up. But then Winthrop goes on a little 7-0 run, tied it up at 57. And it was because Winthrop was shooting the ball so well, or the lack of Arkansas defense. Arkansas started the second half 6 of 9. Winthrop was 6 of 10, but they hit 3 threes during that span, and they were able to make up for the lead. I also wrote down Thomas, professional shooter. Guy's just a scorer. We saw his stats for tonight, how many points he ended up with, 26 points. It's not just threes. It is mid-range jumper. It is floaters. That guy, he is a professional. He is an NBA player and a professional shooter. I am just, the more I watch him play, the more impressed I am with Malik Thomas. The only thing he has to add to his game from here on out is just look for others. And when you're such a good shooter, you think you're going to make every shot. And so there's no bad shots. But there are times where you got to look for another guy, and you've got a teammate, an alley-oop, or somebody underneath that's wide open because all eyes are on you. That's going to come. I mean, he's played, 5-6 games in college. He'll get better at it. That's the one thing I want to see is just him looking for his teammates because there are opportunities. Now, tonight was a little different. If you notice, Winthrop, they realized what Arkansas was trying to do. Arkansas was attacking the basket every single time. They were pretty much bigger at every single position. It didn't matter if it was Acuff, he was bigger than the guy guarding him. Malik Thomas, no doubt, was bigger. DJ, the guards, the wings, everybody was bigger. So when they got the ball, they were looking to get to the rim. And if you watched a couple times, Winthrop, they would have 5 guys, all 5 guys, definitely inside the 3-point line, and many of them right around the lane. And towards the end, there weren't any driving lanes. There weren't many places to go. And that's why you saw the timeout. That's why I was so impressed with it after they were looking at that review to see who the ball was out of bounds on. Arkansas came out instead of having a guard drive in, they spread the guards out, trying to get as much space inside as they could. They ran a little high-low with Brazil and Pringle. Get it to Brazil, dump it into Pringle, layup. That was a great play call because there was just nowhere towards the end of the game for them to drive. And that's when you saw Arkansas getting a little scoring funk. They were going to the free throw line, but they weren't getting many clean looks. And that was just because Winthrop had collapsed. And on the other end of the court, it's the exact opposite. Arkansas was all spread out, and that was partly on Winthrop. They're running their offense way out there, doing high pick and rolls outside the three-point line. Everyone's just chasing around, running, trying to recover, trying to help each other out. And that you just saw open look after open look. They'd dump it down to the big man roll into the basket, and he would have a little guard on him because they switched on the pick and roll. That's a mismatch. So then Arkansas was running down trying to help the guard on the big guy, and then he would just throw it back out front to a wide open player. That's why I was like, maybe we quit switching so much because they were taking advantage of the switches, rolling the big guy with the guard on him, and there was no defense for that. And they were just getting so many open looks. And then we talked about at the end, they were running the high pick and roll. Rozier has it out front. Pringle I know what he was thinking. I got to go help because the guard switched off. He's got the big man. I'm going to switch, go back down there. But there was no one to take Rozier. And he buries the three. Wide open three. That gives Winthrop a 79-76 lead. And that's when I wrote down that was their 16th three of the game. And hogstats.com, that's when they tweeted out Arkansas 6-9. So now 7-9 when their opponent knocks down 15 threes or more. After that, let's see, Winthrop had 79 points. Their final 4 points came from posting up their big guy, Duncan, just one-on-one with Brazil. He got back-to-back baskets, and then that was it for him. You had Rozier, the wide-open three, Duncan abusing Brazil down low, and they didn't score again. A little credit to Arkansas. I've been on them for their defense, the lack of defense tonight, giving up 83 points to Winthrop. But when it counted, the last minute 26, I bet it was a little longer. I can pull up the play-by-play and the scoring to see when the last time Winthrop scored. Arkansas held Winthrop without any points for the last. They scored Duncan layup good, 2 minutes exactly. So Winthrop did not score the final 2 minutes of the game. Arkansas didn't score the next possession. Then remember the ball went out of bounds off Winthrop. They reviewed it. Arkansas scored with 1:13 left on Pringle's layup. Then they get the steal. Acuff's fast break layup is good with 37 seconds. And then they get the block shot, Pringle inside with 11 seconds. So Arkansas scored 3 baskets, the last 6 points of the game, all in the last minute 13. And Winthrop goes the last 2 minutes without scoring a shot. So when it counted, defense stepped up. The disappointing thing is you play like that the last 2 minutes. If you'd have played like that the other 38 minutes, you win by 20-something. They're going to knock down some shots. I mean, they're a good college shooting team. They're college athletes, but they're not going to do what they did tonight with 16 threes. If you're getting after them, you're creating some turnovers, you're getting some steals. That leads to easy baskets for Arkansas, and that takes away some shots that they're going to get. It just looked like to me for too much of the night, they were just going through the motions. It felt like, didn't it feel like that to you? I mean, it felt like they were going through the motions. They were almost like toying with them. When you're playing your little brother, you're bigger than him. You got this. And they would go up 6-7 points. What was Arkansas's largest lead tonight? But it always felt like they had them at arm's length. They're in control of the game. They're going to win this game. And then Winthrop goes on a little run, takes the lead. Well, here comes Arkansas. I just had that feeling tonight that they just weren't locked in. And it was surprising. Because we had Coach Matt Zimmerman on the Out of Bounds today on the Buzz, and he felt like that was kind of the effort we saw last Friday night. And practices have been really tough, and Coach Cal and the staff have really been getting on them. And he felt like Arkansas was going to come out and play with a lot of intensity tonight, a liar. And honestly, I didn't see it. I just didn't. I didn't see anything that made me think that this was a motivated team, ticked off with the way they played the last time, and just seemed like they were taking it for granted. Arkansas's largest lead was 8 points. Wow. 8 points, and that was in the first half, 39-31 with 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Their largest run was an 11-0 run. I wrote that down. That was early in the game. Arkansas had back-to-back steals. They led 29-28. Remember the windmill dunk from Trevin Brazil? I think Malik Thomas had a steal layup, then Trevin Brazil steal layup, and that started the 11-0 run. And that was their best run of the night. Yeah, 8-point lead against Winthrop, your largest lead. That's surprising and honestly a little disappointing. But it's a young team, or you have some young players on this team, and Coach Cal's teams typically get better as the year goes along. You got to hope they learn from this. They're going to see other teams that try to do this to them, and maybe they'll get better from this. I mean, there are a lot of things to learn from. The pick and roll, definitely. Not leaving guys wide open. Winthrop, once again, it's one of the better shooting nights, and I'll be interested to see what hogstats.com, what they pull up. 15 of 31. That's 48.4%. 48% from the three-point line. That's an outstanding night. And honestly, most of the time you're going to lose that game if it's, we know if it's any SEC team or any better top 25 top team, if they shoot that, Arkansas is going to lose. You can't give up 15 threes in a game. And very rarely will you win that game. Heck, we saw it tonight, Michigan State. Michigan State was awful against Arkansas behind the three-point line and won by 3. Tonight, they knocked down a season high, I want to say it was 11 threes against Kentucky, and beat Kentucky by like 15, 16 points. But it was because they shot the ball well tonight. They didn't shoot the ball at all against Arkansas. And last year, they were a bad three-point shooting team. And so far this year, they've been a bad three-point shooting team. But tonight, they were hot. They knocked them down, and they win easily against Kentucky. That just shows you what making the three will do for a team in college basketball. And Winthrop tonight takes advantage of it, knocks down 16 threes to give Arkansas everything they wanted. All right, more of my notes from the second half. We talked about it. The size was the difference. Arkansas was just attacking the rim, and Winthrop just started packing the paint and doing everything they could to keep Arkansas outside of the paint. And that led to a scoring drought from Arkansas late in the game, and that allowed Winthrop to take that lead, 5-point lead, with 1:26 to go. Bad turnover from Thomas, and then just missed a couple of jumpers because they couldn't get to the basket. Well, in the end, they get the win, and that's what, win's better than a loss, right? It was so, no, honestly, when they were down 5 with 1:26, I'm thinking in my head, well, this wasn't the show I was planning on doing tonight. This sucks. This isn't what we need to see in November. And the third of their 4 home game stand against bye games, they're paying for Winthrop to come in, just like Jackson State. You're coming in. This should be an easy victory. Not tonight. And I don't know what Winthrop will end up doing. If they'll win their conference tournament title and get to the NCAA tournament. They were fun to watch, very efficient offensively. They got a little size. They got some athleticism, but it's a bad loss. If you lose this game at Bud Walton Arena in November, that's one of those that if you're on the bubble or, it doesn't matter, whatever, they're looking at your seeding, they're going to go, yeah, but they lost to Winthrop in November. So at least they win. They're not going to go, they only beat Winthrop by 1 in November. That's not the way it works. At least you get the victory, and you learn a little something. And you want to be optimistic about it. There'll be times this season where they'll be down late in a game, and they can think back on this experience and go, hey, we were down 5 with a minute and a half, and we found a way to win. All it takes is a basket, a stop, a basket, a stop, a basket. I mean, that's it. It's three, cashing in 3 times on offense, getting 2 stops, and that makes up a 5-point deficit. And that's if you're just hitting 2s and not 3s. So, yeah, this is something they can hopefully learn and use in the future when they're down and realize they can rally. And really, I hope they learn when you rally, when you get a run going, it all starts on defense. And that's where it started for Arkansas with the block shot, a steal, and then at the very end of the game, playing good defense and making Winthrop take a really difficult shot at the buzzer. So some takeaways, something to learn from, definitely a lot to improve on and get better because, look, after Jackson State, it's only going to get a lot tougher for Arkansas. But encouraging things. Love Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, both those freshmen, real deal. I mean, those guys are going to be huge for Arkansas. And you think about it, they're only going to get better. Those 2 freshmen, I mean, by the time we get to March, granted, knock on wood, they stay healthy. They're just going to get better and better every single week, every single month, and their confidence will grow. Malik Thomas, yes, even his confidence will grow. Maybe the most confident player on the court, right? But the bigs, they got to figure out something to do with the big guys. There's too often in this offense, I don't know if they know what their role is. To rebound, maybe go get an offensive rebound. Maybe if somebody drives, their man goes over to help, they'll get the ball and easy dunk. But there's just too many times that this offense, it's just so guard heavy that I feel like the big guys and even sometimes the wings. I mean, let's look at it. What did Carter Knox have tonight as far as the number of shots? Let me go back to Arkansas's home stats. Carter Knox tonight, 7 shots. He was 3 of 7. Malik Ewan, 2 shots. Pringle, 5 shots. Made all 5. Billy Richmond, 3 shots. Not that I'm saying Billy Richmond needs to be taking a high volume of shots, but they got to get involved more. Your guards, Malik Thomas, 20 shots. Darius Acuff, 10. So 30 of your 58 shots, more than half the shots, came from your 2 freshmen. Is that a recipe for success? Especially later on in the season when it gets tougher. Unless they keep getting better and better, do you want half your shots coming from your freshmen? 2 players. I mean, to me, you got to get Brazil involved more. He was 5 of 6. High quality shots. He didn't take a 3 tonight. Did y'all realize that? I did not. Brazil did not take a 3 tonight. Carter Knox, 7 shots. Malik Ewan, 2. DJ Wagner, 5. Pringle, 5. And Billy Richmond, 3. So, yeah, you got to get the more guys involved offensively, because that's why I know at times we talked about it, or I was thinking, and I'm sure you were thinking, the offense looked stagnant, and it was a lot of watching. It's watching Acuff try to do something or watching Malik Thomas do something. There wasn't a lot of fast break points tonight. And that's all because of Winthrop, and there wasn't a lot on Friday night. But you credit those 2 offenses, or I do, because they did. They executed their offense. They ran it efficiently. They didn't turn the ball over. Didn't have just careless passes. But part of that too is Arkansas's defense. Arkansas's got to step up their defense to force some of those turnovers, to force some of those bad passes. Excuse me. Where's my water? Arkansas can do. We know that. Arkansas can do a much better job on offense or on defense. And then that leads to better offense for them because they are great in transition. But then offensively, just stagnant, I think is the word. It just looks, there's just too much watching the 2 freshmen try to create a shot and get the, there are times though, and I wrote it down, the one when they ran the high-low. I thought it was great. At the very first possession of the second half, ran a great play. They ran their offense, and Malik Thomas, wide open 3. And I don't have, I like it when Malik's shooting, but there are too many times where no one else touches it, and it's either Acuff or Thomas shooting the ball. You got to run your offense, get everyone involved, and the ball will find you. And when it does find you, chances are then you are wide open, and that's an easier shot. Acuff hit a couple threes tonight, and they were wide open looks because they were running the offense. The ball gets back to him, and his defender scrambling to get back to him, wide open shot. So there are occasions, and that makes me think that they have a good. I wrote it down here again. Carter Knox, his three that he hit tonight, that was a good offensive possession. They worked the ball, worked it around the outside. I think there was a move in, back out, over to Carter Knox, wide open three. He buries it. But I think if you go back and watch the game and you count how many times they ran an effective offensive set where they were working the ball either side to side or in and out or dribble penetration, kick out, you can probably count on one hand, two hands. Let me see. How many shots did they take tonight? 58 shots? Maybe 10. Maybe 10 times. I mean, it was an effective, good-looking offense that leads to wide open shots. Just it's not enough, but that's early season struggles too. The more that they play together, the more they practice, the more they'll get into their sets, more they'll get into their offense, and that'll make the offense look a lot better. I mean, you watch Winthrop, and it's night and day, right? How many times did they work their offense and get an effective wide open shot? It was all night long. There weren't many times that you were like, oh, that was a bad possession by Winthrop. Maybe the last one of the game. But there weren't a whole lot of, because they were effectively running their offense and getting good looks. And it's just not happening enough right now for Arkansas. But I'm confident. We saw it last year. The offense got better as the year went around, and by the end of the SEC and the NCAA tournament, they had an effective offense that was getting much better looks. But yeah, that was definitely a flaw tonight. And then once Winthrop realized, and their coaching staff give them credit, they're like telling the guys, Arkansas is just trying to get to the basket. Their guards are just trying to penetrate, get to the rim. And you saw everybody. There wasn't a lot of help defense. They were well off their man. You know, it was none of that. Reach out and your man's there, the ball's here, and you're within distance. No, there was 10 feet between them and the guy they were guarding. And in that case, that's where you're like, I would love to see Thomas out on the wing. They can't leave him, right? But when he's got the ball in his hand, everybody's focused on him. That's when you got to have another one of the guards driving in, penetrate on Thomas's side. That guy's helping, kick it out to him. He's wide open. But it just didn't feel like they had enough shooters on the court at that time. Carter Knox was out there. I'm okay with him taking a three. Really don't love Billy Richmond taking threes. Brazil, hit or miss, but he didn't take many threes. He didn't take any threes tonight, so that wasn't really an option. Any notes over here? Let me check, see some of your comments. Sorry if I have been neglecting. Lane's written in here. Lane says, we need a solid 3-2 and to switching on everything and stop. I'm guessing you're saying switching on everything because we keep ending up with guards on bigs and mismatches on defense. I said the exact same thing a couple minutes ago, Lane. That was it. And look, they'll change it up throughout the season, and a lot of times they'll switch it up in the game just to give a team a different look. But tonight, it seemed like every time there was a pick and roll, it was a switch. And I'm okay with it with the guards and wings because I feel like, Billy Richmond was guarding their little point guard, Rozier, at the end of the game. He can switch and guard a 2, a 3. Heck, Billy Richmond can guard a 4. Same with Carter Knox. Carter can guard a 2, 3, or 4. DJ can. Acuff can. Malik Thomas can. So I'm okay with the guards switching all the time. But when you've got the bigs, whether it's Pringle or Ewan when he was in or Brazil, no, I don't want them on a guard, and I definitely don't want some of our smaller guards on the big that's rolling to the basket. That's when you got to make a change and say, all right, let's quit switching. Either fight over the top or fight through it. Or you can hedge. You can tell the big guy when he sees the pick and roll coming to jump out way out. That stops the guard and it pushes him up the court. That gives the big time to roll back down the court with the other big down the middle. So there are different ways of playing the pick and roll, but tonight it seemed like the only thing they were doing was switching on the pick and roll. What'd you say, Lane? Lane said, yeah, we can't play defense on a team like that without a solid 3-2. And look, Calipari's not going to play much any zone. He's going to go man to man. But there are different ways and much better ways to play the pick and roll. And look, that stuff he's still putting in. It sounds crazy, right? But remember last week, Friday night, they're up 15 with 7 minutes to go. And he said he looked over to Acuff or Wagner and told him, let's pull it out and run time off the clock. And they did that for like 5 straight possessions in a row, but got terrible shots. I mean, it was bad. And he said after the game, that's on me. He said, we haven't practiced that enough, that late game situation when you're up double digits and you want to run your offense. We haven't been doing that enough. So we weren't getting good looks. So I'm not blaming the kids for that. He said, I'm blaming myself. We got to practice that more. So we kind of think because they've been together, they practice 2 hours a day, that they've covered everything. They haven't. You know, they got priorities on things they got to fix, and that was one of them that Coach Calipari just hasn't worked on enough. And I got to think they haven't worked enough on the pick and roll and different ways of defending the pick and roll, and they're still trying to implement some of the different schemes that they're going to have throughout the year. And two, you don't want to show everything this early, and maybe they just didn't want to show some different things they want to do on the pick and roll until they're playing some of their top opponents, and it almost cost them tonight. Appreciate the comments. Thanks, Lane. Appreciate y'all for watching. I think we pretty much covered it. Arkansas 6-point run at the end of the game. It was dramatic. It didn't look good there with 1.5 minutes to go. I thought they had blown this and lost a bye game at home at Bud Walton Arena. Wish there were more fans there. I get it. I guess, I don't know. If you got tickets, give them to somebody. I mean, there are some fans up in Northwest Arkansas that would love to go to a game, right? You just got to think that there's a way for these season ticket holders that know they're not going to go to Winthrop to plan ahead and just give them away. I mean, look, if you're paying that much for the tickets, you're not worried about making $20 off of the tickets. Just give them to somebody who wants to go. And I know they're on social media trying to get people to give them to the university so the university can distribute them, but that's not working. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, they've been trying it last year. They're trying it this year. They said, we'll give them to the military, our vets. We'll give them to police officers, emergency workers, emergency responders. It's not working. And I don't know what you do. But to see a game on a Tuesday night for a top 25 team, it's pretty fun to watch. I know it was frustrating tonight, but I have nobody at the game. I mean, that place was even half full. Anybody that was there last night was even half full. It wasn't for UCA. I know because I had people there. You see what Randy says. That's just a little pet peeve. How much do you think he's just kind of letting them play through some growing pains at this point in the season? Randy, I think a lot, honestly. That's why I think it goes back to the pick and roll. There are things that they're doing. He's just letting them play and learn, make mistakes, and he's hopeful that they're more talented and better than these teams, these 4 bye games that they've had last week and this week, that they'll be just fine. They'll still find a way to win. But, Randy, it's also great to see the mistakes on tape for these. You think about it was last week they started 4 McDonald's All-Americans. You know, they're used to being the best player on the court at all times and used to doing whatever they want to. And now when you have on tape, visually, you can show this guy, look what you're doing here. Look how you missed this wide open teammate. Look how you didn't come over and help on defense. Look how you didn't rebound that ball. You know, just point out the obvious mistakes, and they see it on tape. there's no better learning moment for these guys because they're not used to making mistakes that could cost you a ball game. Because most of the time their talents just well overmatch the other team. So I think there is something to it. Look, I think he's a great coach, and he's got a method to the madness. It felt like madness tonight, but I haven't heard the press conference yet. But I bet he's not going to be killing them. I mean, he's going to have a positive attitude, and we'll learn from this. We'll get better from this, and he'll point out, what they did at the end of the game when it really mattered. What's this comment here? Coaching points are very valuable. Yeah. They say that you should never have a bad loss. You should just have a lot of good tape to show a team so that they get better and don't make those mistakes. Well, the hope is that these guys are mature enough that they know they got away with it tonight, and they did just enough down the stretch to pull out the victory, but it should have never gotten to that point. And so you hope you're able to get their attention in a close win, and it still pays off. Nobody likes to lose, but if you learn from it and it's a valuable lesson and it helps you later on in SEC play, you'll live with it. And that's what Coach Calipari's thinking. He'll live with it. But if they're mature enough to learn from these mistakes and still get the victory, that's the best case scenario, right? You win and you learn from all your mistakes. Sure happy the Hogs pulled it out. Kentucky is in total meltdown after their drubbing at the hands of after Michigan State. Man, I was thinking about that. I went out to eat tonight, and I was watching that Michigan State-Kentucky game. And you're probably like me. Nothing that makes me feel better than watching Kentucky lose and their fans just feel the pain of losing and shut them up a little bit. And I was like, man, this could be a perfect night. They get drubbed by Michigan State. And then lo and behold, I'm watching this mess, and I'm like, oh, I bet the Kentucky fans, this is helping them feel a little better, just a tiny little bit better. And they're like, yeah, if Calipari and Arkansas loses to Winthrop, our night won't be a total loss. So a double whammy for Kentucky fans. They get drubbed by Michigan State. And it showed me, I watched that game. And I was pretty convinced, and I don't know if you saw the show that night, but I was like, that's a good team. Michigan State's a good team, and that was a great environment. And Arkansas did not play well and still had a chance to tie it up at the end of the game. So I felt like that was it was not a bad loss. Watching Michigan State tonight, I was like, yes, this verifies my thinking that Michigan State's a good team. And tonight they played well and shot the ball well. So that was awesome. Kentucky lost by 20. Was it the final 20? I thought last I saw it was like 16. I don't know what the final was, but yeah, neutral site, lose by 20. And there was a bunch of Kentucky fans there. They may have, I don't know where it was, but yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for pointing out. It was a neutral site. I didn't even realize that at the time, but that makes sense now because the Michigan State, you see their student section all on that side where the opposite side of the cameras, and didn't have that tonight. Oh, yeah, that makes me feel even better. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, I think we're about done. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think I've pointed out everything I wanted to. We've hammered them on some issues. Look, praised them too. That was a good way to finish things up on a 6-0 run. Gritty comeback win, better than a loss, and hopefully they learned a lot from this because there's a lot to learn, but there's a long way to go. All right, coming up tomorrow night, real quick, let me tease you on this. I take pride in having good guests, and that's what some of the feedback y'all give me, the great guests that we get on here. Last night was maybe the best interview. I recorded it earlier. It's going to run tomorrow night. It's Tim Horton, former Razorback coach, loves the Razorbacks. He's up at Air Force now. We recorded an interview, and he was candid about what Arkansas needs and what Arkansas needs to fix. And I know you're going to enjoy it. We'll run that tomorrow night about 6:30. We also will name our high school football player of the week from week 1 of the playoffs. So tomorrow night, it's going to be a fun show. I hope you can join us and catch what Coach Horton had to say about Arkansas. And I asked him, I was like, is this a good job around the nation? In the coaching circle, the coaches think Arkansas is a good job. And what does Arkansas have to do to fix things? What do they got to get back to? And it was awesome. It was candid. So I hope you can join us for that, or remember, or if you're on YouTube watching right now, subscribe to More Sports. Hit the thumbs up button for tonight's video, but subscribe, and then you'll be notified, or you'll see when whoever you subscribe to has a new video that'll help you remember. Check out that video tomorrow night, or any of the videos that we do on More Sports. All right, we're going to run. That's going to do it. Thank you, and thank you for saying that, CC Bucks. I appreciate it. Lane, he said, was at Madison Square Garden. I was at a restaurant, didn't have the sound up, wasn't paying attention. I was just watching the action. But appreciate y'all for chiming in. Randy says, where are you going to be for Friday's playoff game? I am going to be right here, Randy. You see my TV there? I've got the computer, a laptop, my phone. I will have a TV in the other room. I will have 4 games going on YouTube at one time, watching games over the state, all over the state. Last week, I couldn't decide where I was going to go. I decided, you know what? I'm going to watch from the house. And I probably watched 8 high school games. And I had so much fun. And I know that going to a game is awesome. But when you can flip on YouTube from game to game to game, and, game gets out of hand, just, all right, toss that one to the side, go to a different game. I had a blast. I sat here, and I was watching the Cersei and Lakeside game. Well, Cersei goes on a little run. All right, turn that off. Watch the Hot Springs BB game. Goes into overtime. Guys, that was an awesome game. I mean, it didn't get much better than that. When it was over, I was like, that was a fun game. That was a really good game. Watched some of the 7A action. Checked out Little Rock Christian and their victory. Turned that off. PA Fayetteville, watched some of that. Fayetteville jumped up 21-0. I turned that off. I was just flipping around. I'm going to do the same thing again Friday night. It is, if you don't have somebody to root for, not a game to go to, I'd highly recommend. Just go to YouTube. I'll give you a little secret. And we talk about it on the show on Friday nights. As I'm rambling on, I was closing things up. Got my attention. Hootens.com, their scoreboard, it has, it does a great job with keeping scores up to date. But there's a link on every single game that takes you straight to their YouTube channel, and then you can click on the game. So you don't have to go to YouTube and do like a search for every single game. You can go straight to their scoreboard and click on the link, and it takes you to the game. Really cool feature. And that's what I'll go and, ooh, that game's close, and click on the link and watch the game and just flip around from game to game. Look at Chris Alley. What's up, Chris? Glad you're chiming in and watching More Sports. Randy says he's going to Mineral Springs at Desark, and he's also going to be watching Cross County and Junction City. Randy is our 2A correspondent. If I need anything on 2A, I know who to go to. All right, we got to go. That's going to do it. I appreciate all y'all for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Be back here tomorrow night. Check out Coach Horton, his interview. Check out our More Sports Player of the Week. We'll be back here tomorrow night for More Sports.
All Arkansas, all sports. It's More Sports.